By the end of this video, you're going to have a simple 3-step method that makes starting to paint feel totally doable, even if you haven't picked up a brush in decades or ever. No fancy setup, no expensive supplies, no waiting until you feel ready. Just a simple, low-pressure way to begin. I've been teaching complete beginners to paint for years now, and the number one thing I hear is I don't know where to start. And that makes total sense. There's so much information out there and it can feel really overwhelming. So today, I'm going to cut through all the crap and give you the clearest, simplest starting point that I know. Hi, I'm Lisa Reel, and this channel is all about proving that it's never too late to create. I help beginners and returning creatives, people like you who secretly wonder if you could ever make real art, prove to yourself that you absolutely can, even if you spent years convinced that you have no talent. Now, here's the thing. The biggest mistake that most beginner painters make has nothing to do with supplies or with talent or skill or whether you took an art class in school. The biggest mistake is waiting. Waiting until you have a better workspace, waiting until you have more time, waiting until you feel ready. And I want to gently tell you that feeling of being ready is not coming. It's not because you're not capable. Feeling ready is something you build by actually starting, and it won't simply show up on your doorstep one day. So I hear this all the time from the people that I teach. I'll start when the kids move out. I'll start when I retire. I'll start when I have a proper studio space. And then years go by, decades sometimes, and the painting never happens. So if that sounds familiar, if you've been waiting for the right moment, I want you to know that you're not alone. And also, this video is your sign. This is the right moment right now. And if you're thinking, okay, fine, I'm ready to stop waiting, but what do I actually start with? Well, I've got you. I recommend starting with watercolor. It's simple to set up, you don't need a lot of supplies, and you can sit down at your kitchen table and start playing in minutes. But before you dive in, here's one thing I really want you to know about watercolor. It is a gorgeous medium to work in, but it's a little unpredictable. And if nobody tells you that up front, it can feel like you're doing something wrong when things don't go as you want them to. Here's what I mean. Now, watercolor doesn't always do what you tell it to. With every medium, there's always a learning phase. You need to get used to how much water to use and how much pigment. What happens when you add more color if the previous color you've laid down is not quite dry? And to top it off, it dries lighter than you expected. And for a beginner painter, that can be really frustrating. It's like the medium is working against you. But here's the reframe I want to offer you. That unpredictability is not a flaw. It's actually the whole point. The happy accidents, the unexpected blooms, the colors that mix when things weren't quite dry, that's watercolor doing its thing. And once you stop fighting it and start playing with it, something really lovely happens. You start to enjoy the process, not just the finished painting, the actual process. And that's the shift from outcome to process. That's where the magic lives. Watercolor can be a little unpredictable. Why am I recommending it as the perfect starting point? Great question. And the answer is watercolor sketchbooking. Not a big, intimidating blank sheet of expensive paper, no expectations to put your finished painting in a frame on a wall, a sketchbook, a small, low pressure, and completely forgiving sketchbook. Here's why this works so well for beginners. A sketchbook feels like a private place. It's not meant to be perfect. It's not meant to go on the wall. It's just for you, for experimenting, for playing, for figuring things out with no pressure to produce something impressive. And that matters so much when you're just starting out, because the biggest thing standing between you and actually painting isn't skill, it's the fear of messing up. And a sketchbook quietly removes that fear because nothing in a sketchbook is precious. You can fill a whole page with something you end up really not liking and just turn the page. That's it, fresh start. Watercolor sketchbooking also teaches you something really important really fast. It teaches you to loosen up, to be a little messy, to let the medium do some of the work. And those are exactly the skills that make painting feel joyful instead of stressful. So that's where we're starting, in a sketchbook together. Okay, this is the part I love because this is where it gets really practical, and I want you to see just how simple this actually is. There are 3 steps, just 3, and I promise you can do all of them. So step 1, grab a pencil, just sketch something, anything. A leaf from your garden, the shape of your coffee mug, a wonky little flower, maybe your hand. It doesn't matter what it is. And the point is just to make marks on the page. Keep it loose, keep it light. Wonky is wonderful, and I love that saying, and I mean it with my whole heart. Step 2, go over your pencil lines with a waterproof fine liner pen. This is where it starts to feel a little more intentional, a little more like your hand making actual decisions. Follow your pencil lines or don't. Go a little over the edges, add some extra detail, leave some parts out. It's your page. Those marks are yours. And when you're done, if you want, you can erase your pencil lines or leave them in there. It's up to you. Step 3, add watercolor, loose and free. Let the paint do what it wants to do and just play with the color. If it bleeds outside the lines or into a white space, that's not a mistake. That's just watercolor being watercolor, and it's gorgeous. Let it surprise you and let it be imperfect, because that's where the magic lives. So that's the whole method. Pencil sketch, waterproof fine liner, and loose watercolor. And I genuinely think that once you try it, you're going to be a little surprised at what you can make. And trust me, with this method, even a completely wonky drawing looks intentional after you add the color. Oh, and real quick, if you're finding this helpful and you want more of this kind of stuff, hitting subscribe is a really easy way to make sure you don't miss it. Okay, back to it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, Lisa, but what do I actually need to buy? And I love this question because the answer is so much more simple than what you might expect. You do not need to buy a lot. In fact, buying too much too soon is one of the things that actually slows beginner painters down, because then you're managing millions of supplies instead of just painting. So here's the bare minimum to get started: a sketchbook. Nothing fancy, just something with pages thick enough to handle a little water. So look around for something around 140 GSM or heavier. That's the weight of the paper. It doesn't need to be expensive. The thicker the paper, the sturdier it will be when wet. You just don't want something thin and flimsy. You'll also need a basic watercolor set. A small pre-made set is absolutely perfect for beginners. You don't need tubes of paint. You don't need a huge color range. A simple set with 12 colors is more than enough to start exploring. You'll also need a waterproof fine liner. Something like a Micron pen or a Staedtler pigment liner works really well, but you can also use just a cheap one as long as it's waterproof. Otherwise, your lines will bleed when the watercolor goes on top, and that can feel like a sad moment, but it can provide a fun effect as well. You'll also need a single medium-sized round watercolor brush. Just make sure it has a really nice pointy tip, which can be used for any finer details. And that's it for the main supplies. But then, of course, the basics: pencil, water, paper towel, and maybe a couple of clips to hold your sketchbook open, because as you're painting, it's going to want to fold and close. Now that's everything you need to sit down and make something today. No special studio, no expensive setup, just a table, some light, and a little bit of curiosity. Now, I want to have a really honest moment with you, because this is something I think is really important. Your first paintings are probably not going to look like what you want them to. And I say that with so much love, because it's completely normal. Everybody goes through that. It doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. You'll sit down, you'll do your pencil sketch, and you'll ink your lines, and then you'll start adding some color. And at some point, you're going to look at it and think, this isn't quite what I had in my head. And that feeling is completely normal. Every single painter feels that, and beginners and experienced painters alike. But here's the thing I really want you to hold on to. That gap between what you imagined on the page and what you got is not a failure. That gap is learning. It's literally how you get better. So the painters who improve quickly are not the ones with the most talent. They're the ones who keep going anyway. The ones who finish those wonky paintings. They turn the page, they start over. The more you do, the better you get. And it's as simple as that. So I want you to go into this with one simple mindset shift. Tell yourself this is an experiment, not a test. Say it before you sit down every single time. This is an experiment, not a test. There's no grade, there's no right answer. It's just you and a page and some color and the absolute freedom to see what happens. So Remember that wonky is wonderful, messy is magic, and the second you stop trying to make something perfect and start letting yourself play, something really lovely starts to happen. I've seen it with so many of my students, and I cannot wait for you to experience it as well. So if today convinced you that yes, you can actually do this, and I really hope that it did, then subscribing to this channel is your next best move. I post new videos all the time that are made specifically with beginner painters in mind, so you'll always have somewhere to come back to when you need a little encouragement or a fresh idea. So just hit that subscribe button below, and I'll see you in the next one. So thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It genuinely means a lot. I want you to find yourself a sketchbook, pick up a pencil, and just start. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to begin. Now, go make a mess and have some fun, and I'll see you again soon.